This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the Alienware 18. This is going to be a short introduction. This guy weighs 12 pounds. I'm not going to be holding it up for long, but suffice to say, 2¼ inches thick, built like a tank, serious gaming notebook, 18.4-inch display. We're going to look at it now. So this is the Alienware 18. This is the apex of portable gaming. That is, yes, you could pick this up and carry it around. It is 12 pounds, just a little bit more than that. 2.26 inches tall. So not portable in the sense that a notebook is, and we'll compare it to the Asus Republic of Gamer G750 in a minute to give you an idea, even amongst gaming notebooks, just how big it is. But yes, you can pick this up. You can take this to your friend's house if your family has been missing you and you're always seeing your desktop gaming. Obviously, you can carry this to the living room wherever they are and game with them. So there you go. That's the point for having a monster like this that weighs as much as some smaller desktop machines. 18.4-inch display, the usual Alienware look. We've got our little Alienware head here. Of course, it lights up in the dark. Design features here. Lots of ventilation in the front. Also LEDs that light here. We'll show you what those look like in the dark. On the back, yes, it's heavy, folks. Lots more ventilation here. This has 2 graphics cards inside. Isn't that nice? We have Intel Haswell Core i7 CPUs in here. The 4700 MQ is the lowest and 2.4 gigahertz with turbo boost to 3.4, and you can go all the way up to the i7 4930, which is overclockable to 4.3 gigahertz with turbo boost. That's going to add you another $500, but a lot of power in here. 3 fans, 3 large air intakes right here. We have a fan for each of the dedicated graphics cards inside and one for the processor. And as you can see on the bottom right here, you can almost see the fans through here. Pretty easy to take this bottom panel off, just 3 screws here. They aren't too teeny tiny, and then you have access to 2 standard SATA hard drive bays, 2.5 inch. 2 of the 4 RAM slots as well are accessible, the optical drive, and the battery is under here. You have to unscrew and unplug the power connector. Once you take this plate off, you can pull this downward like so, and then you have access to the fans here, and if you disassemble the fans, then you have access to your 2 graphics cards, which in theory you could get parts from Dell for this if you want to upgrade your graphics cards in the future. And right under here, we have graphics card here, NVIDIA and SLI. Here we have our processor, which is indeed socketed, so you could upgrade it. Now, of course, you can't jump to a whole wild new generation of CPU here because you usually need a new chipset for that, but within the Haswell chipset motherboard family that we have here, you can go and upgrade if you want. So how about those graphics cards? In here you have your choice of dual NVIDIA GTX 765Ms, dual 770Ms, which is what we have in this with 3 gigs of DDR5 memory, and you can even get dual NVIDIA GTX 780Ms, which are currently the top of the line for NVIDIA mobile graphics cards. And the 780 comes with 4 gigs apiece for GDDR5 memory inside. On the side here, you can see we have lots and lots of ports. We have 2 headphone jacks. We have a microphone jack. We have USB 3.0 ports. Right here we have mini display port. We have full-size HDMI. That's our power connector for our super-sized power brick. And you can see the usual styling, interesting lines that the machine has right here. It's certainly distinctive looking, certainly aggressive as it should be for a gaming machine. And on this side, 2 more USB ports. We have our gigabit Ethernet jack, and here is our optical drive with an eject button. You can get either a DVD writer or Blu-ray drive if you want. It's up to you for the configuration. Speaking of configurations, the bottom model starts at $2,100, and that gets you the 2.4 gigahertz Haswell i7 CPU, the 4700 as we mentioned, 8 gigs of DDR3L RAM, a 750 gig 7200 RPM drive, and a DVD burning drive. And that will get you also the NVIDIA GTX 765M dual cards in SLI. Now this does support switchable graphics, and you can do that via an FN key. That's nice. It's not going to auto switch on you. It actually lets you decide which is the way we like it with a gaming notebook. So you can switch to Intel HD 4600 integrated graphics if you want, if you need to save battery power. And there's an 86 watt per hour battery in here. It's a pretty good capacity. So one thing Haswell brings to the table is better battery life. So it's not like the old days when something like this would run for an hour and a half or an hour and 3/4. You could probably go 3.5 hours. That's what I've found so far doing productivity work. Now doing gaming, you don't want to do that because the CPU downclocks, the GPU downclocks to save battery power, and you're going to get less performance. But you know, it's such overkill in the hardware for most games today that you actually could, if you wanted to, unplug and have a pretty enjoyable experience. And then it really depends on the game you're playing. You look for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, depending on the game. Now, if you want to get this with the dual 770M graphics cards, you're looking at something closer to $2,500 or so. Our model here is $2,400, and that's exactly what it gets you. All the stuff we told you about, but instead it has the dual GTX 770M graphics card. It's got 8 gigs of RAM in there and a conventional spinning 7200 RPM hard drive. As you move up, you can get a caching SSD. This has an M-SATA slot inside. It's accessible pretty easily underneath once you take the grills off. And you can also put dual hard drives in if you want. There are 2 drive bays on here. Now for the really crazy top of the line, right now if you want those dual GTX 780M graphics card, that comes in the $5,049 model, which pretty much gets you the best of everything. You get the Intel Core i7-4930MX that's overclocked with turbo boost going all the way up to 4.3 gigahertz. Otherwise, we're looking at obviously slower clock speeds when we're not turbo boosting. 32 gigs of RAM and a 1 terabyte SSD that's set up in RAID 0. It's really 4 256 gig SSDs set up in RAID 0. In any case, you're going to get an 18.4 inch full HD display with a gloss finish on it. It's a nice looking display. It doesn't have too much glare, so I'm not complaining too much. Gaming has not been too bad, though I try to stick to darker rooms because of occasional reflections. So to give you an idea about just how big the Alienware 18 is, that this is the Asus Republic of Gamers G750, a big 17-inch gaming laptop in its own right. It used to seem pretty big to me, a little over 8 pounds, and you can see the difference in size. Granted, this is 17-inch, this is 18-inch, but still, look at the difference in thickness right there. And there's about a 4-pound difference in weight. So when it comes to portability, keep that in mind. Obviously, the 18 is designed to be carried from room to room and probably not with you to class and back. And consider this also when you're carrying it around. The machine itself, it weighs 12 pounds. Look at this power brick. I mean, you can do curls with this, really. It's certainly over 2 pounds, probably closer to 3 pounds. So pretty heavy, pretty major. Very impressed, actually, at things like how heavy duty this cord is. I mean, there's a lot of juice flowing through here, so it's good to see a nice, thick, well-insulated cord on this. Now, as we take a look inside, pretty decent-sized trackpad. I know it might not look big because it's wallowing in a giant keyboard deck. And by the way, to get to the rest of the internals, the hard drives, the M-SATA SSD, the optical drive, and the battery are accessible underneath. To get to the other 2 RAM slots, there are 4 total. 2 of them are very accessible on the underside. You're going to have to take off this keyboard deck. So you're talking some fairly major surgery here. For those of you who are accustomed to taking apart your computers, you probably won't be too fazed by this, but I think the average user might be a little terrified of what's under here. Happily, most things are accessible underneath. Keyboard has the usual Alienware multi-zone lighting. We'll show you that in the dark in a bit. It's pretty cool. You can configure your colors. Standard keyboard over here. We got our FN row up there. We have a number pad with macro keys up top, and I love this. On this side here, we have another strip of macro keys, great for gaming, certainly. Even for those of you who use this for video editing, anything that you want to macro, there it is on a key, you can. That's your power button right there. Nice soft touch black finish, feels nice, doesn't get too greasy. Reasonable keyboard travel. Obviously it's not an island style keyboard, it's the edge to edge kind of keyboard, but I like it just fine. It has some key travel, not too much either, just about right. And you'll notice that the touchpad, which, see, it glows, and you can choose which color it glows, has actual discrete keys, which is very nice for those of you who game and don't use a mouse, so I can't imagine not using a mouse myself when gaming, but it's possible. And now it's time for the light show. Here it is. You can see the lit up Alien, the blue chevrons. Here we have lights over here. They extend all the way around the sides, and as we take a look inside, you can see you can set up Alienware zone control lighting. You can set the color of your trackpad backlighting in each one of these zones individually. Also very handy for gaming because you can tell them apart. And the lights obviously extend all the way around the side like landing lights. Now for our model, which has the dual 770M cards in it and the Intel i7-4700MQ 2.4 gigahertz base clock rate, turbo boost to 3.4, you can see our Windows Experience Index is right here. 7.6 for processor, 7.7 for memory, dual channel RAM obviously there. Desktop graphics 7.9, 3D graphics also 7.9, and our only slow score is the hard disk because we just have a conventional spinning hard drive here, even though it's 7200 RPM. That's as fast as you can get with that. Now, if you want to put an mSATA SSD in there or just switch this to a 2.5-inch SSD drive, you could do that and certainly get a lot better performance in that respect. One nice thing about having the big hard drive, obviously, is games take a lot of space. This is a gaming machine. You've got room for gigs upon gigs upon gigs of games here. On PC Mark 7, it scored 3754. Not a wildly great number. Why? Because PC Mark 7 loves SSD drives, and this is a conventional spinning hard drive. So that's why some Ultrabooks get better numbers. It's not really that they're faster or more computationally capable. They are certainly not. This is much faster. It did score a little under our ASUS Republica Gamer G7050JX. That scored a 3804. Interesting there. So also we noticed on W Prime a little bit faster for our ASUS. This scored 11.7 seconds, and our ASUS scored 8.3. For Geekbench 2, the Alienware scored 10,445, and that's with dedicated graphics enabled, plugged in, but really Geekbench doesn't care too much about that. We got 15,140 on our ASUS ROG G750. And here's our 3D Mark 11 score on the performance setting, 8562. That's quite impressive. And this is what the stock drivers that the machine shipped with. So far, the NVIDIA drivers that you can get from NVIDIA's website, we could install the GeForce Experience software, but we couldn't get it to update the drivers. The INF files are not up there yet for this machine. Hopefully they will be. So this is stock out of the box. You could probably get a couple hundred more points if you go ahead and edit the INF files and install the latest NVIDIA drivers on here. And here's under the extreme test setting where we got a 3217, very impressive, and our ASUS Republic of Gamers with a single GTX 770M scored 1715 in comparison. So obviously those dual graphics cards in SLI are getting you something. And for those of you who have not had dual graphics cards in SLI before, here's what the software settings look like if you go into the GeForce software by right-clicking on your desktop, and you can see maximize 3D performance. You can disable SLI. I don't know why you would want to, and right now we have it set to auto detect on physics, so there it is. There's your two graphics cards. Now this brings up gaming. This is a gaming notebook. Yes, we will have a separate video of many games on this, so you can see how it plays. We're going to test out Mass Effect 3 on the easy end. We're going to do Witcher 2. We're going to do Crysis 3. We're going to do Borderlands 2. So we'll put it through its paces, and that's going to be a companion video. Obviously, this is a computer. You actually might want to do things besides play games. And see, right now we've got this no zooming whatsoever because at 18.4 inches you really don't need to set any font scaling. Very easy to read. Very nice looking display, very wide viewing angles. Really good, in fact, better than average for a gaming notebook. Nice, crisp, lively colors. Good color gamut, not exceptional, but certainly good enough. A little towards the cool side that's pretty common for notebooks in general, particularly for gaming notebooks. Looks great. Obviously, we're running Windows 7 right here. You can get it with Windows 7 or Windows 8, and we'll just check out video playback. Clearly, this can handle anything you're going to do with video playback. That's just not going to be a problem whatsoever. Also, awesome workstation for video editing. A lot of power in these graphics cards and CPU. Speakers are built in on the keyboard deck. The subwoofer is also there. Really loud. This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're looking at the Moto X. Finally, available first on AT&T in the United States. It's $199 with contract for the 16 gig version, $249 for the 32 gig version. So there it is, full 1080p streaming. And if you go to the store, you can get it, well, like we did right. So certainly very capable when it comes to video streaming. Very nice speakers, very loud, very full. Of course, you've got nice headphone audio also if you want. You could even go with Bluetooth speakers as well. So competent, certainly, to do everything you would want to do with a computer as a computer. Wi-Fi on this, the Broadcom Wi-Fi 802.11ac. Good reception, not the best we've ever seen. Actually, again, my ASUS ROG gets a little bit stronger signal on this, but still quite good, better than average, and you've got full 802.11n on here as well, 300 megabits. So you can get some very strong streaming here, really more than any multiplayer game needs. So who's this for? I think you know. Primarily this is for gamers, though I've known some video editors who actually pick up an Alienware as well as something that they can use in the office and bring home as long as they don't have a long walk to the train and back. It has to be for somebody who's got the cash to spare. Now Dell has all sorts of financing programs to try to make the pain a little easier and occasional sales, but as ever, this is always the most expensive among the gaming laptops. For that, you do get a fairly easily upgradable set of internals, even the socketed CPU of the graphics cards. They won't come cheap if you're looking for graphics cards either off eBay or from Dell's part sites, but you can upgrade that. A bit of future proofing there until the next generation motherboard comes out, and then, well, it's all worth kind of then anyway. But for those of you who have the bucks, who particularly really want a game, they want something that is going to last for years, because honestly, even if you don't upgrade the internals in this is more than capable of playing any and every of the most demanding games, and probably will be for several years running. There's just top-of-the-line hardware in here. So that's the Alienware 18 with Haswell inside, dual graphics card. It's available now. Not too much of a wait if you order it from the Alienware website. Not too cheap, Alienwares never are, but you certainly get some amazing performance here and a lot of upgradable parts inside. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Visit our website to read the full review of the Alienware 18, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.